We have to start with Tottenham, don't we? Were they the biggest surprise for you
Spurs,
today?
well earned.
Today, Troy?
Surprise, no, because we spoke at the top of the show. This is kind of what we've been seeing in the Premier League, but we thought different in the Champions League. I'm a massive fan of Atletico and what Diego Simeone represents and his team represent. Spurs are embarrassing, though. They quit on the job. I know they got 2 goals and everyone go, oh, there's a chance. For 70-odd minutes of a 90-minute game, they quit on the job. And, you know, we're obviously going to show the goalkeeper who had a poor day, but that team is not even a team. They're just a load of individuals trying to take care of themselves, thinking about where they're going to go next. It's actually embarrassing.
Do you think the scoreline actually flattered them in some ways and made it look not as bad as what it actually felt during the match, Grella?
You started the show, you said they took a shovel. I think they took the Bobcat. They took one of those big hydraulic ones to dig themselves a little bit deeper. It is this is the best competition in the world, the Champions League. And you're going to get found out if you don't come the right way. Organized, with confidence, with energy to approach the game properly. Weaknesses in the team with the goalkeeper, right? Mm-hmm. It's just one example, but the entire team. So you can't show up to the best competition in the world with this. I mean, obviously they have the weight of relegation. They have a new manager as well. They have a lot of things going on, but this performance, you're going to get found out in the Champions League. I think also on the flip side for Atletico Madrid is the fact that they haven't kept one clean sheet the entire time. They had Tottenham right where they wanted them. They could have put the tie to bed, albeit it is pretty much to bed. But they still concede 2 goals in it. So, but it was a really poor day for Tottenham and the goalkeeper especially.
Yeah, it definitely was, wasn't it? We are live on YouTube, by the way. So if you're a Tottenham fan or if you're a fan of any team, then get in the comments and join us in the chat. We're going to be answering some questions as well as the show goes on. Unfortunately, we do have to talk about the goalkeeper, though, Kinsky, because it wasn't great, was it? It was a bit of a surprise, maybe to some, that he was included in the lineup. Troy and Vicario was on the bench, but then the way that the day unfolded on his Champions League debut was just the stuff that absolute nightmares were made of, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, we covered his actual start, didn't we, in the Carabao Cup last year. I think it was against Liverpool. He came in and did it. And look, he's a young man. Obviously, he's trying, but every time, that's really unfortunate. Obviously, he loses his footing. But you're always told to, when you start games, you make a mistake, build your way into it. So that's your first mistake. That's no problem. This is inexcusable. That's inexcusable. Oof. The first one is okay, you slipped, you lose your footing. This one is just really poor.
You gotta go with the other foot, too.
But you're trying to go across your goal, across your body. You've already made a mistake. This is the third one. This is 15 minutes into the game. This, for me here, this sums up Tottenham as a group at the moment. Because me and Grella was talking about this off air. We've all been subbed when a player gets sent off and you're the one who has to come off. You sit next to your team. You ride it out together. He's having a poor time. You get dragged. By the way, he made the mistakes. Not the manager, no one else. He made the mistakes. Manager makes a change. You have to sit with your team. And the reason they're not a team is because he goes down the tunnel. 2 of the players go, oh, let's try and console him. I think it's Solanke and Gallagher run down there.
Just by the way, to play devil's advocate to that, if he's so overcome with emotion, because it was only 17 minutes, wasn't it? But it was a painful one. If you're his teammate and you're thinking he's crying, essentially now, the cameras are going to be on him, wouldn't you just want him almost to go down the tunnel to take a minute and then to come back out when he can kind of get himself together? No, because we're in a situation where as a team and as a group, we're in the trenches now. You don't have time to feel sorry for yourself. You don't have time to go and gather your thoughts. We're all in this. And as you said, look, 17 minutes of pain, 3 goals conceded, 2 errors leading to it. Goal prevention, 0.64. Like, that's not a manager. That's not anybody else. You've brought that on. And again, do you feel sorry for him and you don't want anyone to have those types of moments? Yeah, but it's real world. We have got a massive game coming up at the weekend. We've got an even bigger game to try and stay in this competition. We can't have people running down and going, oh, don't worry, hey, Grell, on the next one we'll get them. No, it's right here, it's right now. And I just thought it encapsulates where Spurs are at now. People get chances, they make mistakes, they get held accountable for it, and it's all, get me out of here. Again, I know we played today, and we'll get onto it in a minute, but Pedro Porro, for me, is an embarrassment. He's an embarrassment. And I don't want him to think this is personal. Watch the goals back. Yes, I know he gets an assist and he scores. Watch the goals back. He quits on the team.
And I've been there. By the way, never played Champions League, so I'm more than happy for people in the comments to go, oh, what do you know about it? I know what it takes to come from Sunday League all the way up to being a pro and being a captain and leading in the Premier League. You can't quit, because the second you quit, this game will chew you up. And we've played long enough. You get chewed up. It's not a nice sport. It's not all what you see on Instagram where everyone's taking the pictures on the private jets. It's day to day. It's grinding. It's getting it done. And when people like that quit, unfortunately, you just got to move them on. And that's where Spurs find themselves at this moment.
That's what I was basically saying, that when you go to the Champions League, everything gets found out. Like Porro, the goal he's talking about in particular, Porro gives up on the play the last 5 yards. He recovers, by the way, 50 yards, and then he gives up the last 5 yards. That's the difference at the highest level. It's
Absolutely.
the 5 yards you make up for a teammate, the 5 yards you make up after you lost the ball. The goalkeeper not being confident enough, going with the wrong foot, giving it away. Those types of goals, then walking down the tunnel to leave everyone out there and making it a little bit about him when his team's out there fighting for their lives. So a lot of things went wrong, and I think it was just they got found out on a day where at the highest level you're going to get found out.
It doesn't look good either, does it, considering that they're 1 point above the relegation zone in the Premier League and they are well in a relegation battle. David De Gea apparently has just put a tweet out. Let's have a look and see what he's had to say, because obviously maybe from a goalkeeping perspective it could be a different outlook. No one who hasn't been a goalkeeper can understand how difficult it is to play in this position. Keep your head up and you will go again.
David De Gea and O.J. Simpson's lawyer couldn't defend that performance from Kinsky. I understand. It's difficult. We have Miola in here all the time, who's one of the greatest goalkeepers and the greatest guys. And he always
harsh, girl, isn't it?
And he always tries to defend the goalkeepers. There's times you can. You can look at that and say, you have to move on as an individual, as a footballer. Like, I've had really bad days too. You have to move on, I understand, but it was really poor.
The one thing that he's right is like David De Gea made a lot of mistakes, obviously, when he was younger as well, obviously starting off at Man United and went on to be fantastic. But when they say, oh, only a goalkeeper can understand what that feels like. OK, have you ever missed a penalty that could have won the game? You ever missed a chance on the line? You ever got sent up? There's always emotion. So what? Because we were not goalkeepers, we can't talk to that instance. He's going to feel terrible, as he should do, by the way. But the character of the young man and the character of who he's going to be will be, how do you react from this? Not go down the tunnel, sit there, face it, be with your friends.
Yeah, so true. Nigel Reo Coker has just snuck in, by the way, from the Golazo show. Good to see you, Nigel. You OK?
I'm good. Just listen to these two interesting takes on a young man going through some tough times.
What do you think on the young man going through the tough times?
I think for me, Igor Tudor needs to take the full brunt. I think that he's the manager. He picked to start him. He hasn't played for a while. He's a young goalkeeper. Tottenham are in a horrible place right now. Horrible place. For me, even the fact of the kids having a tough time in the game, no problem. But to do that to him, that could really destroy a young player's career mentally for a long time to come.
You don't think he did him a favour taking him off?
I don't think that did him a favour by taking him off. I think you've got to let him go through. If you're going through hell, you've got to keep on walking through and deal with it. We already know that the youngster made some mistakes, but taking him off is an extra dose of embarrassment. And what is even worse for me, that I feel, if you're a manager, that position there, when he's going in the tunnel, it's two young teammates who go to comfort him. So you're telling me as a manager, you're supposed to guide that ship. You don't have two of your staff members to know that that youngster's going to be going through it, to say, just go and talk to him, make sure he's all right.
Okay.
I'm just telling you,
He's setting me off now.
It's fine.
No, the point of it, I take that point, but the young man who's made the mistakes, right?
Yeah.
Do you quit on your team and go down the tunnel, or do you go and sit on the bench?
His teammates understand to know how he's going to be feeling. That's the difference.
I'm asking you as that person.
He's a young player where his teammates understand the magnitude of the situation. He didn't do it on purpose. He made a mistake. They all make mistakes.
Of course, yeah.
They all make mistakes.
Yeah.
But the fact of the manager takes him off, not through injury, before half-time, they know as players,
how many mistakes that lead to goals? How many mistakes that lead to goals do you before you take him off?
He's a goalkeeper. It's a different position. I think that's the last side defence.
I'm asking you a question. So if he does two more, 17 minutes in the game.
No problem. Do you know what you do? At least let him go to half-time and then just take him off for half-time.
What if it's 6-0 and he's made a mistake for 5?
It doesn't matter. They're not going to say... The people watching the game are going to say the goalkeeper's had a terrible time. It's not on the manager. People will be looking at the goalkeeper and say he's had a tough time at the moment.
There is bad, Nigel, and then there's catastrophic in some ways, being down by that much. I mean, you've all been players. In your mind, are you thinking, somebody save me here, take me out my misery? Or do you have...
Personally, when you make mistakes like that, you go, right, let me do the simple, basic thing next. You don't have the ball come back to you and try and whip it across your body with your weak foot.
He was already... OK, I understand
Would you agree?
that. But I agree with that, but he's already low on confidence. There's a difference you've got to understand. When you play as a striker or a midfielder, different mindset. When young players start as defenders and goalkeepers, there's a tremendous amount more pressure on them than there is on us as midfielders and strikers. These guys could miss so many chances. No one's going to... They scored a one chance. Great, you did your job. You make a mistake... These guys can make many mistakes as they want. It's not a problem. They can miss as many times as they want, and they score a goal, no problem. You make a mistake as a defender or as a goalkeeper, it's a whole different story compared to the pressure that these other positions are. So that's why I have a lot more sympathy
an 18-year-old striker
players.
has an opportunity to score an open goal. He puts it wide, that's OK.
I never said it's OK. I said
but the pressure's the
same. They will be forgiven a lot more than a defender, a young defender, who plays well for 78 minutes, makes one mistake. That's what's going to be highlighted than a striker who misses 2 or 3 chances. That's the reality of football.
I think it's a good point, because obviously when he does come back, he's going to be highlighted, isn't he, Grella, and he's going to feel that pressure. Can you come back from a performance like that in a Tottenham shirt?
It's tough. It's going to go down as a scar for him, for sure, mentally. He's got to come back and continue. That's why I think what Troy's saying and what I'm saying is, it's either the next play you get subbed out, it's a nightmare. For me, you go sit on the bench and you just take it, because it was your responsibility anyway, and you have to take the responsibility and say, OK, fine, I'm going to be here. All right, fine. He goes down the tunnel. I disagree a little bit with Nigel. Nigel's right for the most part, that the strikers have more pressure, but Troy's right. I've seen guys who miss chances in big games that goes down burned into the history of the fans' memories. Like, we think about Lukaku not long ago in the Champions League, even in the World Cup when he was missing a lot of chances. All I could think of was all the hate. Think about when Saka missed the penalty in the Euro, by the way.
Good point.
And all the hate that he got for that forever.
That's a complete different dynamic
Is it, though?
behind that, I think.
Because all the pressure falls on them. I mean, Del Piero missed a chance once in the Euro against France. They destroyed him for years for that. Baggio missed the penalty in '94. It's the only thing Baggio's known for. He's like one of the greatest players that's ever played. Anything you talk Baggio, it's about the penalty he missed in '94. So I don't think there's more. I don't think it's necessarily means that. But I think for the keeper, you have to take responsibility. And I also agree with Nigel with the manager has to take responsibility.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's taking anything away from the keeper. This is my thing, right, with younger players. Now it's so, like, cuddled for them to have this... they got let them make their mistakes on the job, right? So he's come in, he's been... Remember, the first game, Carabao Cup, was just saying before you came down.
Yeah.
It was a bag of nerves that night as well. So he hasn't given you an impression that he can be a calm, collected goalkeeper, as of just the small body of work we've seen. And it's not fair to judge him his whole totality, but that's all we've got to go at this moment in time. He hasn't given you a game where you go, oh, that's where he's reliable. Now, I would go, well, what has he done in his preparation? Because 15 minutes into the game, you've made 2 mental errors. One was unlucky because the ground goes beneath it. That stuff happens. We saw that with John Terry. Yeah, I'm about to say we've seen these things happen. But 2 mental errors in the first 15 minutes. Where's his prep? Is that the manager's fault?
I'm not going to dispute that. OK, I get your point.
Yeah.
But my point is, again, the bigger picture of everything, what everyone was saying about this game was, what team is Tottenham going to pick? We already know that their priority is staying in the Premier League, right? So where does Igor Tudor not take the full responsibility? This is about being a manager. Being a manager, you've got to look at the situation you're in right now. He's gone in there. There were questions about him already. 2 losses to Fulham and Crystal Palace. He came out and publicly basically destroyed his players to players where they don't even know you, and they know you're only there to the end of the season. So why are they going to respond to you in that sense? For me, being in a few relegation battles myself, I know what it's like and the mindset and the mentality. We've already questioned Tottenham about their leadership. You pick your strongest and best team for every game. You don't even need to make those changes in a game today, because one thing you need is consistency in a relegation battle.
They've lost 6 on the bounce. Surely he's got to change something.
Change for what reason? Are you going to prioritise?
If you're on a team, Nigel, that's lost 6 in a row in a historically bad run, and your manager makes no changes, surely you're going to look at him and think, help us out here, change something.
But this is when we talk about managers. They get paid good money for doing your job. Manage. Pick your best team, your strongest mental team, to get consistency for results, because you need that rhythm to go into win game. You're not going to survive in a relegation fight by chopping and changing teams, and especially when you've come in there and criticise these players, and now you think they can play for you. Again, we go back to the situation today. How do you think these other players are going to look at him now with what he did to the young lad? Because I don't know how you guys were with young players. I always had a lot of time for young players when I played with. When I look at that situation now, if I was a senior player, I'll look at Igor Tudor in a complete different light because of how he handled that situation.
I hear what you're saying. I think it's conflated to two different types of argument, because the first part of that is, well, who's the senior player there that you look around and say you're playing well? It's not Romero, just come back from a 3-game suspension. It's not Van der Ven, because he's making mistakes week in, week out. Who's the senior pro that you say that's the person to look at?
There is no one right now. They're less, but again, he's the manager that's got to put some kind of team and solidarity together.
No, I agree, but this is where I get wholeheartedly frustrated at this point. So the manager has to come in and basically pick a team for... And I agree to an extent with continuity that we can build. We've lost 6 on the bounce. Do you stick with a team that keeps losing? And then it's the manager's fault. No one ever looks at this Spurs team, ever. It's the only team I've known for the last 5-6 years that never goes, they're not very good. They're not very good. You take 2 players out of that team in Romero and Van der Ven, nobody else gets in the top 5 team. Nobody else. They're not very good. And again, sorry to offend, everyone's piling in on Spurs at the moment. I don't want to be that, but we're talking to the truth. They're not very good. Pedro Porro, if you let him go now, who sides him? Vicario, who sides him? Solanke, who sides him? They're not going to teams that are challenging. So we keep going around like... You've had managers, it's the manager's fault. Oh, it's Daniel Levy's fault. Oh, it's this... At what point is it you are not a team?
I think the problem as well is that Spurs have had weird success, haven't they? They obviously won the Europa League, so then it was a band-aid over maybe bigger problems. So do they need to change Igor Tudor? I mean, is he going to even make it through tonight?
You've got to change him.
Is he going to get sacked tonight, do you think?
It's not going to get better. Even from the... I just don't see... I think, for me, listen... He discussed it. He made a great point when we was in Milan. When they interviewed Allegri at the end of the game, and he said Allegri's a brilliant liar. Grella was spot on. The best managers are amazing liars. You go to Tottenham, you might not agree or like these players, but you know some of the best managers I've had? They are fantastic liars. They might say something to you here, but they're saying something completely different there. He needed to go to Tottenham and make these players feel special. He lost Tottenham players after that Crystal Palace game by criticising them publicly because, one, you already know they don't have the mentality in the players in the dressing room. You're talking about we're on a boat. If you want to get on the boat, you get on the boat. If you don't, you get off the boat. He's gone in there trying to strong fist a dressing room that you have no relationship with these players. Today just adds more pressure to what he's done, where other players... It'd be
devastating, wouldn't it, if they had, like, you know, a man manager like Thomas Frank before?
I think Thomas Frank would have kept them up. I'm not saying it's a great... I'm not saying it would have been a great season. Manager,
and they turned on him. So, did you get my point?
But then even from getting rid of Thomas Frank, I think it's even got worse.
No, I agree.
And now
I totally agree.
You're going to look at the reality of it. You look at their fixtures they've got coming on.
Can they afford to bring in a new manager when they're 1 point above the relegation zone, or is it their only option to bringing someone new after a loss like that and after losing 6?
If it doesn't work, and it looks like it doesn't work with Igor Tudor, then you have to move on. You have to move on because you can't afford to get relegated. That would be catastrophe for Tottenham. And make no mistake, though, I just want to make one point for the young goalkeeper. He was not the reason why they lost the game today.
Absolutely.
He was one of many reasons. I think it's easy to go on him because you could show his clip of him whiffing at the ball, but the team is not good enough. Like Troy said, the team is not good enough to play at the highest competition against a team like Atletico Madrid that's dynamic and better in every single department.
I just want to say this quickly, right? Because obviously we saw the first goal, right, where Kinsky makes a mistake at the back and then kind of pulls his hand from stage, which I didn't understand. At that point, like, I've never been a manager yet or a coach yet. But for me, at that point, I could see, all right, calm down. I'll get a message to him. I don't understand why Igor Tudor, 4-0 down, is the time we get a video clip of him on the sideline going, calm down. You're trying to tell your team to calm down after 4-0 down. I think you should be more experienced managers to say, after that first mistake, your young goalkeeper who hasn't played in ages, first Champions League start, makes that mistake. You should be getting that message to him, just relax. Next 5 or 10 minutes, kick it, get up. Just go back to old school football.
By the way, we are live on YouTube. There's a poll here that's been put out. Would you have subbed Kinsky if you were the manager? 59% said yes, 41% of you said no. So a lot agree with Igor Tudor.
They're playing championship manager. They've never been in that pressure, in that situation, that mental side of football, especially when you're a young player. You've chased this dream. You're playing for a big club in big moments. Everyone makes mistakes. We can all go and find mistakes of some of the world's best players making mistakes. I understand the stakes of what is out, and I know what Troy's like. I understand players taking responsibility. But for the bigger picture of what's going on at a football club that's not doing well, that people have questioned a lot in that dressing room, who do these young players at that club have to look up to say that's the right way to go? It is a difficult situation he was put in, and the manager made that decision to put him in that situation.
I understand what Nigel's saying. You take the player out, you kill him. He's basically half dead now because he makes the mistake and then he gets subbed out. Now, some of the viewers think you should have, some of the viewers think you shouldn't have. When you're a manager and you're sitting in that spot, you're going to do what's best for the club in that moment. So 17 minutes in, you see this guy is a bag of nerves, and he's already made 2 mistakes that have cost you 2 big goals in probably one of the biggest games of the season, right? You have to do what you think is best in that moment for the team. Exactly. Not for Kinsky, not for Kinsky's career, not for the next 6 months of Kinsky. He's a goalkeeper. He felt like moving forward, okay, we can't have this guy in the goal. He's liability for another one. Yeah. We can't afford it. We've got to do what's best for the club. So I could see it both ways. Now you get subbed down, I think you need to go to the bench. But that's another story for another day.
OK, really interesting. Just very quickly, yes or no answers. Is Igor Tudor still the Tottenham manager tomorrow morning?
I think no.
No.
I mean, it's Tottenham, we never know.
Yeah.
Managers have been sacked for less.
Yes or no?
Hey, it's Tottenham, you never know.
Go on then, yes or no?
That. I mean, I wouldn't, no. I don't think
he's, by the way, I don't think he's the full problem.
No.
I just think ultimately it always falls back to the manager.
Obviously doesn't work.
It's the only thing that can change.